Hey gang, Uncle Todd and Sonny here, and we're going to go over the opening episode of Wednesday, Season 2. Um, we start out, it's been the break after the school year ended early last season when all the stuff happened. You know, with Miss Thornhill using the sheriff's son, who was a Hyde, to get her revenge on Wednesday. It was, all that stuff. And the school itself. Anyway, we open with Wednesday tied up in a basement surrounded by dolls. And then we immediately jump back 6 weeks. She'd been spending her summer break as one, getting more control over her psychic abilities, and two, finally fulfilling a lifelong ambition she had to solve the Kansas City scalper case. He was a serial killer who scalped his victims. And she manages to track him down to Kansas City, where, unfortunately, when she tries to capture him, he grabbed her arm, which caused her to get a vision. But she also passed out, and black tears started to come out of her eyes. Anyway, she wakes up, and the scalper is going to get ready to scalp her. And he's using the scalps to make wigs for his dolls. And Thing pops out and beats the living crap out of him, while Wednesday, who's never really helpless, unties herself, pulls out one of his knives, and makes the news for not only catching the scalper, but scalping him. Anyways, now we're heading back to school. Nevermore's finally opening. It's been roughly 2 years. And this year, Pugsley is going to be attending with Wednesday. And it's also learned that he's got electrical powers just like his Uncle Fester. While they're going along, we cut to this couple who are clandestinely meeting to have a little out-of-the-way romance, while up above them is a man with a huge telephoto lens taking pictures of this, when this weird-looking crow with a kind of a white eye shows up. And then more. And then more. And then they start attacking him, and he runs to his pickup truck, and he gets in, or it's a van, I'm sorry, and he gets in, locking the door, only to find the whole back is full of crows, and he is attacked, and, well, we know what's going on, happened there. Let's see. Well, we get to the school, where, turns out, Wednesday, much to her discomfort and disgust, is hero worshipped by a lot of the younger female students. She's the hero of the school. She also meets the new principal, Barry Dort. And her roommate slash best friend, Enid, is avoiding her boyfriend, Ajax, from last season. She's now that she's able to fully transform into a werewolf, she's becoming more of a pack member with some of the other werewolves, and Ajax has a Gorgon. She's, usual teenage angst stuff. Let's see. Pugsley is rooming with Eugene, who, friendless last season, except for Wednesday, has now got his own little group because he's a hero. And Pugsley's just a little too weird for them. Also, his control of insects has moved past just bees to other insects, slugs and spiders and things. Wednesday also finds her stalker has sent her a message that he's, or she, is watching her. Well, now, the principal, they're having a founder celebration, and he would really like Morticia to head it, as being she's part of a great alumni of this place. And if she accepts, she can stay at Thornhill's old residence. Of course, she can fix it up any way she wants, because it is pretty much sickeningly sweet. Kind of like Miss Umbridge in the Harry Potter books. But she needs time to think about it. Wednesday doesn't want to know about that. She doesn't want her mother around there all the time. But her mother does feel that she does need a new mentor. Her old mentor, who was the ghost of Goody Adams, because events last season, can no longer guide her. Wednesday will take it under advisement. Walking back, she comes to the crime scene of the guy. Meets the new sheriff, Santiago, who was the deputy, and is fully aware of Wednesday, but they don't really think they need her help this time. And she sees a man run away, and she chases and catches him, and it is the previous sheriff, Gilpin, Tyler's father. The man was his partner. They were working on the case, getting some divorce case, but he had called him earlier and said he had found there is some kind of plot that puts the outsiders, i.e. Nevermore Academy students, in danger. And Wednesday brings up the whole thing of, now that your son is an outsider, you're all sympathetic. Well, he understands, and he says if she wants to help, he's open to it. Fair enough. We learn also that Xavier is not returning to the school. His parents have sent him to an academy in Europe. That'll be important later. That night, Ajax tells a ghost story. He's the hall monitor of Pugsley and Eugene's floor, about an old student. He was a genius, but he had a weak heart. And this was directed, this episode, by Tim Burton. So we get some of that great Tim Burton animation that was used in Vincent, if you remember that short. And the student designed his own mechanical heart and had his heart replaced, and it worked. But he became very cold and logical and kept working on experiments until one blew up while he was there. And they buried him out by the Skull Tree. And they say if you go to that tree and listen carefully, you can still hear that mechanical heart ticking like a clock. Well, the other students are kind of, ooh, that's creepy. And Pugsley's like, that is so cool. Let's see then what happens. Barry calls Bianca, the siren and head of the Nightshades, the secret organization, to his office. He would really like her to handle the fundraising for the gala. She's not sure if she'll have time with all her other activities, and He says, gee, that's too bad. You know, we're in badly need of funds, and if we don't raise any, we may have to cancel some scholarships. And Bianca is on a scholarship. So it looks like she's going to be helping to fundraise because she's a siren. Yeah, Barry's not the nicest guy he pretends to be. Although I do like the fact he looks like Edgar Allan Poe. You know, their most famous member and founder of the Academy. Let's see. Wednesday can't stand that Enid's pack is constantly meeting in their room, so she goes to the music room to play her cello, where she meets the new music teacher, the famous orchestra celloist, or was she a pianist? Musician, Miss Capri, who has decided to quit performing and turn her gifts to teaching, and kind of wants to impress on Wednesday that technically she is perfect, but she's too calculating. She may instigate chaos, but she does not accept it into herself, and without that, she will never be a truly great musician. Interesting. Xavier sends Wednesday a painting he made. As we know from last season, he sees things and paints them. And he painted that head crow with the white eye. And in his note to Wednesday, Enid finds out Xavier gave Wednesday a phone. Enid never got the number. Well, Wednesday accidentally dropped it in the bath. Implied but not spoken is she got rid of the phone because of the stalker. Let's see. She also finds that someone has been in their room and taken her novel. That's been rejected by all the publishers, but it was 2 years of her life writing that novel. He also makes some comments about the misspellings in it, but she, in her defense, has used the Old English versions of those words, so they're not misspellings. Anyways, the clues he leaves makes her realize that the founding pyre that's going to be burned out in the courtyard, everybody's attending, is where he's placed her manuscript. So she needed to run for that. And Morticia meets Bianca, who's going to help her fundraise. So it's looking more and more likely she's going to be staying there to help run the Founders Gala. Wednesday gets bumped several times in the crowd and finds there's a note in her pocket telling her that the novel is in the middle of the pyre. There's a huge pyre with a crow on top. Well, so Wednesday goes into the pyre. And while this is going on, they have the Founders opening ceremony where Miss Capri plays the Nevermore Academy's theme. And then Barry gives a speech while Dancing in the Dark by Bruce Springsteen, and he can fire flaming balls from his fingers, you know, sort of like the Human Torch, and he sets the fire on a lit. And then the telekinetic students, they cause the wings of the crow to start flapping, and then when it catches on fire, finally, as the fireworks up, they have the crow fly up around the students and then up farther and explode. In the middle of the pyre that's burning, Wednesday finds her novel and grabs it, and Enid runs to tell everybody that Wednesday's in the middle of the funeral pyre and they gotta put it out, but she escapes, only slightly covered in smoke and smudge, but not singed or anything, although the novel's a little. And she immediately shows up, making everyone think Enid overreacted. At which point Barry pulls her up to display the new painting made to commemorate the heroes of Nevermore, which is a painting of Bianca, Enid, Eugene, I think it's Xavier, and in front is Wednesday with a sword, smiling. Something I don't believe we've ever seen Wednesday do. Big toothy grin. And then she's pulled up to give a speech, and she starts giving this rallying speech about fighting the enemy and being strong, and they're all going, yeah, yeah, and then she reveals they're the enemy. This is stupid. She's not a hero. And takes a torch and sets the painting on fire and walks off. Barry's a little disappointed in that. Everybody's stunned. Enid's a little upset. She's like, hey, this was supposed to be a celebration of us and what we accomplished. And Wednesday storms off with Enid following her. Now, Pugsley had earlier talked to Eugene, said, hey, maybe after the fire's lit we could go over to Skull Tree and dig up that dead guy. Eugene and all his buddies are like, no, ew, and walk away. So, after the fire was lit, Pugsley went off in the forest where he finds the tree. But he doesn't hear the ticking. Although a crow comes out, knocks him over, and in his startled state, he inadvertently shocks the surrounding ground, which causes the mechanical heart to reactivate, and a very gooey looking corpse digs his way up out. And Pugsley is originally a little scared, and then he just smiles. He's now made his first friend. Literally. Meanwhile, we end with Enid trying to catch up with Wednesday, and she grabs her arm, which causes Wednesday to go into another trance. Black tears. And she passes out. And the vision she has is of Enid's tombstone. And Enid's corpse grabbing her and yelling, you got me killed. And then she starts going into convulsions, and Morticia comes up, and she and Enid are trying to hold her so that she doesn't hurt herself, and that's where we end. Whew. Wow, quite an opener. Nice to see Wednesday hasn't changed much. I have to admit the fawning sycophants, all the little younger girls, they are annoying. They're all dressed like her, got the pigtails, and she's just one of the things I like about this is that Pugsley is actually getting his own story arc. Pugsley's always been kind of underused in the Addams Family, especially in the two movies made in the 90s. The first animated film, a few years back, where Oscar Isaac was playing Gomez, that Pugsley actually had a story arc for himself. And it looks like he's having one here, and I'm kind of glad, because he's always been kind of pushed aside by Wednesday's uber coolness. And yeah, I'm really curious about the Stalker, what that's about. Fortunately, we're only get 4 episodes this month, and there's going to be a break, and then we'll get the next 4 about mid-September, I think. So yeah, but really good opener, good intriguing mystery, and curious to see what the Black Tears is about and why her powers seem to be causing her pain when they weren't the first time, and why she's passing out from the intensity of it. Yeah. And Enid made the Thing his own little spot in the room, thing-sized. Kind of a throwback to the boxes that used to be around the mansion he would pop out of, but more of like a dollhouse. So yeah, good episode. Please hit like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.